So tonight, we have 5 storytellers. These are people who are excellent and engaging speakers, and I am not one of them. So I'm going to introduce our host and then get out of the way. So our host tonight is Mark Oppenheimer. And for those of you that know Mark, that he does the tablet magazine podcast Unorthodox. He was a religious columnist for the New York Times. He got his PhD from Yale, and he teaches at Yale, Stanford, NYU, and Wellesley. So I think he's really smart. And he has his own personal connection to Hebrew College as well that I think he's going to tell us. So welcome, Mark.
Rabbi Andy, if I may call you Rabbi. I know you're not a rabbi. Everyone tonight, I'm just going to call them Rabbi because then I won't offend anyone by not calling them Rabbi. I don't actually teach at Yale, Stanford, Wellesley, and I don't currently teach at all of those places. I have taught at them all, but it'd be really hard to teach at all of them at the same time. Not as hard, however, as being the signer for a room full of fast-talking Jews. I can't. You know, when you're like a junior varsity sign interpreter, they send you down south where people talk slow. And then they move you up to the Midwest, and then an outer borough of New York, then an inner borough, then the Jews. And so as we Jews say, toda, thank you, okay. It's such an honor to be here with this old-timey microphone. Wendy actually promised me an old-timey microphone, and she really delivered, and it's taller than I am, but most things are. It's true, I do host a podcast on Unorthodox, and I'm gonna get out of the way in a minute because I've done a lot of talking this week already. We recorded a couple shows. I do wanna make clear, though, for all of your benefit, that podcasting is what you do as a fallback career when you don't make it in the rabbinate. And I should be clear that it wasn't for lack of trying. I mean, people say when you do anything in Jewish communal life, or to use that hoary cliche, in the Jewish communal space, you know, people say, oh, have you ever thought about getting ordained? Have you ever thought about being a rabbi? And I'll answer this. This is all private except for the guys with the cameras who are going to put it on the web. But otherwise, we're mishpucha here, right? So I'm going to tell you the truth. Some of you have heard there was a college admissions scandal recently. And of course, the big names got into the news, right? I mean, Yale and the University of Southern California and such not. But thanks to the Board of Trustees, thanks to Rabbi Andy, I just gave you smicha, it's done now. You're Rabbi Andy forever. Thanks to Rabbi Andy, he actually kept this out of the Times and the Boston Globe, but Hebrew College was in fact implicated in that admission scandal. There was somebody, you remember how the scandal worked. You paid a certain amount of money to the coach of one of the varsity athletic teams so somebody, I'm not gonna say who, wrote a $100,000 check, to Hebrew College saying, please admit somebody, I won't say who, and the admission never happened, and the prosecutors, when they were investigating, they would have passed it over entirely because, Hebrew College, 100,000, this isn't big money, this isn't a huge school, except that in the subject line of the check, it said, attention crew coach. And the prosecutor, who was Jewish, knew that there was just no way there was a crew coach at Hebrew College, and so that's how I got implicated in the admission scandal, was that I tried to get into Hebrew College, I'd mortgaged my house, I tried to bribe the crew coach at a rabbinic seminary, and a cantorial school, and a school of adult education. We do many things here, I know. So look, the bottom line is, thank God I got out. I'm on bail right now. I said, do whatever you want to me, but don't do it until after May 30th, because I am involved in a world historical event. Some Jews are getting together to tell stories. And so this has never happened before in the history of Judaism. They're gonna eat and then they're gonna talk. And if I'm not there for it, I'll have missed this major happening. No, I mean, that is what we do, right? The eating part, but the talking part, the storytelling part. And I think it's so meaningful. I don't know if this was intended, but I think it's so meaningful that we're having this event in the very short run-up to Shavuot, when we think about 2 incredibly important stories that are told. One is the story of course, the giving of the Ten Commandments at Sinai, which in some ways is a universal story. So many of the world's people, most of them non-Jews, use those mitzvot as the backbone of their ethical systems. People across religious traditions, and traditions that aren't in the Abrahamic lineage have similar stories as well about the giving of ethical precepts. And they unite all of humanity in the quest for justice and kindness. But then there's this other story, which is so Jewishly specific, right? Which is the story of Ruth, saying, you know what? I could listen to my mother-in-law and I could follow those ethical precepts going back with my tribe, going back to the Moabites, but actually I want to do it with you. And it seems to me a story that unites in talking about how welcoming we have to be to people who want to travel with us, all denominations of Judaism, all of which accept Jews by choice and then welcome them in. And I can tell you that from all the work I've done as a journalist, they end up being so integral to the community. So to be here at a pluralistic school like this in the run-up to such a pluralistic holiday, which has a universal message and a more specific one, and then to hear these wonderful people tell stories, it's such an honor to share that with